Back to the morning news, 8:29. A couple of guests with us. Dr. Greg Grant, the Provincial Executive Director of BC Transplant, and Katie Powell, a living liver donor, joining us this morning. This is off of Linda's story last night on the News Hour about the changes that we've seen in transplants in BC and the successes that we're starting to see.
Record year in 2012 for transplants in BC. Well, Dr. Grant, let's start with you and look at some of these numbers. And no wonder you're smiling this morning, because what great news for the year that we just had.
Oh, it is. It's just a tremendous story. We've saved a lot of lives this year that weren't possible in the past.
So 306 total transplants last year. That's 11 more than we did in 2010. People are waiting less time to get their transplants in BC now. But what do you think it is that has brought us up to these incredible numbers?
Well, I think the biggest part of it is public awareness. And so our message is getting across. And it's getting across through the stories that people are hearing about donors, about recipients. Helene Campbell, Facebook, there's a whole bunch of awareness that's out there, but I think it's just the tremendous stories that are happening.
And also, you mentioned also the fact that the way that the society and Transplant BC has changed in people and the employees that you've brought in to sort of facilitate these things has made a huge difference as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm an ICU doctor, and so I work at St. Paul's, and I have to look after patients, and sometimes it doesn't work out the way we'd hope.
Right.
And I know that when you're talking to a family about end of life, it's a tough time.
Sure.
It's a tough time for a family, but it's a tough time as a doc to ask those questions. So we know that many people in the healthcare field find it difficult to make that transition between saving a life and then asking about donation. It's tough. They worry that people are going to think that they didn't manage them well, so they could become a donor.
And that's where facilitators, is that what they're called, come through?
We have coordinators now in many of the major hospitals that are trained to ask those questions, ask them in a sensitive way, ask them in an appropriate way. And we're finding that more families are saying yes.
And that's really helping. All right, so they're also living donors. And Katie, you are a living liver donor for your brother, is that right?
Yeah, for my younger brother, Mitch.
So how did that all unfold?
Just before last Christmas, we found out that he was going to get listed on transplant. It was briefly mentioned that live donation was an option, but it wasn't something we discussed very thoroughly as a family. And I just called my brother's surgeon, talked to the secretary, and she set me up with transplant. And next thing you know, I'm on the list.
So they took part of your liver, and it grows back. Is that right?
6 to 8 weeks later.
Yeah.
So they took 60% from me and gave it to him, and yeah, it grows back quite quickly.
There you are, right there. How does that affect you? What happened to you over that time? So you said it happened in June, right?
Happened in June.
What happened to you up until now?
It was a pretty long recovery process. I mean, I did feel like I was run over by a truck. I mean, it was tough, but you know what?
That's incredible.
It was the right thing to do, and I would do it again if I needed to, but I just want people to know that this is something you can do, and if I can help maybe make this year even a better year for people registering as donors, that would be great, especially young people.
You feel perfectly healthy now, just almost back to normal, or?
I'm a little sore, so don't punch me in the stomach. But I mean, I'm doing.
That's our usual initiation.
Well, we do tough interviews here, but not quite like that.
And your brother, how is he?
He's awesome. Yeah, he's doing really, really well. It was easier for him to recover than it was for me. He started driving before I did. I mean, it was.
Wow.
It was kind of weird. He was driving me around, so.
Yeah.
So this is what you're saying. These are the stories that people hear that maybe people didn't know that you can donate just part of your liver.
That's right. We have a big living kidney donation program. And kidneys are a much easier recovery time. And, there are some risks to both, but kidney donation's very, very small risk. And it makes a huge difference.
You talk about the stories, you talk about the 65 Red Roses, Helene Campbell. How much has that had an impact on the work that you do?
I think it's been huge. As an ICU doc, I see families that kind of say, oh, by the way, if things don't work out, we talked about donation as a family, and you have to go, hold on here. We think we're going to make your loved one better.
Yeah.
So sometimes those conversations, you can tell the families that have had them. I'm thinking about one young man who was 19 years old. And his mom had just died. And when we approached him, he said, gee, I don't know. I don't know what she'd want to do.
Right.
And so we looked at the organ donor registry, and his mom had registered 11 years before when he was 7. So we were able to show that family the registration card. And that made a huge difference because he said, now I know exactly what my mom would want. And the entire family rallied behind. So the benefit to the recipients is huge. But it also helps a family, you know, going through this crisis to know that something positive is coming out of it.
Absolutely.
Now, you mentioned the campaign as far as a lot of people were under the impression before that if you just got on your driver's license, you're good to go.
Well, it used to be like
that,
that,
used to be
right?
like
Yeah.
that, and now it's completely changed. So just tell us quickly the process involved.
So with your renewal of your driver's license, there's a form that comes, and it's got a self-addressed envelope, or when you get your healthcare renewal card. So you can sign up that way and mail it in. But you can also go to our website, transplant.bc.ca, and you can register online.
Okay.
And so you can tell us what your wishes are. You can leave a little message for your family as well.
Did you know very much about transplant before your
No.
brother needed?
Honestly, when I got that registration with my driver's license, I was like, I don't want to think about dying. It's not a very pleasant topic. And
No kidding, yeah.
I mean, I didn't sign up to be a full organ donor until all of this kind of came to be. And I know I want to get that message across to young people that it's important. Don't put that decision on someone else. Make it for yourself. I mean, with
Because, you know, I may have some compelling reasons to be a donor. You know, stories that I've heard, you know, people that I've known. And at the end of my life, my family may not know those stories.
Right, of course.
And so it's really useful for us to have made those conversations with our family, but, you know, to leave that message through the organ donor registry that this is important to me.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, and I'm glad your brother's doing well, and you are as well. And great success stories. Thanks very much.
Hopefully it'll be another record year.
I hope so too,
Okay.
and
Hope so.
thanks for telling the stories.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll take a break here on the morning news. Be right back with your top stories.